stuff.
So quick, Mauricio, he can't hear us right now. But
Yeah,
actually, no, we can't hear him,
right,
but he
right.
can hear us.
He can hear us.
Okay, how do we talk trash to him real fast?
I can't Natter. Like I can't talk trash to a man who has done so much for fantasy football. I really can't. And when you see
There's gotta be a
Mauricio,
way.
when he pops up on here, you see this infectious smile. The only negative that I can give Mauricio is that he is a Titans fan. That's
You're
the
a Raiders fan.
only
You
negative.
can't
That's
talk.
the
You are
only
a
negative
Raiders
I
fan.
can give this man. Other than that, I will say he has a badass Oilers jacket. And look, if you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. It's nice. But we're going to bring on Mauricio of Estadio Fantasy, NFL, and Espanol Fantasy, and with football, guys. Mauricio Gutierrez, what is up, my brother? How are you, man?
Amigos, how are you? I'm really contento, happy to be here with you. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to talking about fantasy football. And yeah, you did it. You said that you can't trash talk me, and you did it. You did it because I am a Tennessee Titans fan. But people has to know that more than a Titans fan, I'm a Houston Oilers fan, and I'm wearing my cap, and I have the helmet over there.
Look at
So
him.
mostly, I'm a Houston Oilers fan, and now, I mean, I was like hand-tied, and now my team is the Tennessee Titans. What can I do about it?
Well, I'll tell you what you could do. You could come over to the Raiders side because I think
Don't do that.
I think the Raiders.
Don't do that.
Look, I think you need to make the switch, Mauricio. I'm trying to get Natter to do it, but he ain't gonna do it.
I don't want an arrest warrant.
Tip, do you know what will happen if I go to the Raiders?
You get an arrest warrant.
Side?
We might win the Super Bowl.
Not only that one, but probably I would got a divorce as well.
Well, we don't want that.
We don't want that.
We do not want that.
I would completely understand her for doing that. Like I can't blame her.
Yeah,
I would do the same.
Him and my wife, like the Raiders, she can't stand them. She was a Chargers fan. She's 49ers. She would like 49ers, the Packers. So the Raiders, not at all, man. I love Vegas, but not the Raiders.
Oh man, well, all right. Well, so look, we're gonna go ahead and get into segment one. And segment one is called Tighten Up. And since Mauricio doesn't want to be a Raiders fan, he wants to stay being a Titans fan. That's cool. We're not gonna knock him for his allegiance to the Oilers. But I gotta ask a question to both of you guys because it's gonna be an interesting year with Brian Callahan in year two. Last year, we were talking about Brian Callahan and how he's going to help fix this offense. The offense was one of the worst last year, 18 points a game. So I want to know from a fantasy aspect, fellas, starting with Mauricio, give us a Titan player because this offense, some of these weapons, it doesn't look too nice other than maybe a couple of guys. But I want to get from your aspect on ADP in the double digits rounds, who will beat their ADP. Give us a player for the Titans that'll do that.
For me, and it's like a player fringe must draft right now for me, it's Calvin Ridley. Okay. I love him talent-wise, and I know that probably Calvin Ridley doesn't excite per se because what happened last year with the Titans, but after DeAndre Hopkins trade from weeks 8 to 17, Calvin Ridley was the wide receiver 13 in targets, 7.9 targets per game. He was the wide receiver 8 in receiving yards, and wide receiver 3 in targets per route run among wide receivers with at least 50 targets. And we're talking about one of the worst offenses in the NFL with Will Levis. And now you put in this offense Cam Ward, and that's going to be a better situation for everyone, especially for Calvin Ridley. Because besides Calvin Ridley, who's going to catch passes from Cam Ward? Calvin Ridley is the alpha there. I mean, he's going to have the Jamar Chase role in a Brian Callahan offense. Sorry, Jamar Chase, to compare you with Calvin Ridley, but it's context and it's the role that Calvin Ridley is going to play in these offenses.
I mean, see, I like that, but What happened to Traylon Burks? Is he just like not good? What happened to Tyler Lockett? Is he just not good either, or too old? But what do you think about them?
I think Tyler Lockett is a good depth for the Titans in the wide receiver position. I think he's done from his prime. And Traylon Burks, man, that's one of the biggest busts I ever seen in the wide receiver
Man, it's
position.
bad.
And it hurts a lot because it's what we receive it in exchange for AJ Brown. So, I mean, it's tough for me. Calvin Ridley is by far the best receiving option for Cam Ward.
And speaking of Cam Ward, I'm probably gonna have to go with him as my person to exceed expectations on ADP because I mean, realistically, like who else could on that offense exceed expectations? I mean, Tony Pollard, he completely blew expectations out of the water last year, so it's hard to use him. Even Tajay Spears, he probably blew expectations out of the water as well. I mean, I could probably pick him as well, but I mean, like, if Tony Pollard's there, he's not going to exceed expectations. You're relying on an injury, and he's not even that much of a pass catcher. He only caught 30 passes last year, and Tony Pollard caught more. Maybe you can go Chigakonkwo, but I feel like, you know what, that's too easy of a cop-out answer, and I probably just took Tip's answer on that one as well.
Well, and it's not a cop-out, but
It's a cop-out.
No, it's not.
Who else is you going to pick? Like, who else? It's like by default, you have to pick a Okonkwo.
Okay. So you made my point right there because you also said how thin and aging this wide receiver group is. Yeah. It is a thin group. So you're right. Who are they going to have else to throw to? Now, I have been hearing stuff about this Xavier Restrepo kid from Miami who played with Cam Ward too, and how he's lighting up in practice. I know it's preseason. I mean, mini camp. I understand it. But for the fact that people are saying that, but I think that Chigozoma Okonkwo, and you hit it, I think that Cam Ward is going to utilize the tight end. He's done it in college. Brian Callahan wants to use the tight end as a security blanket. And not only that, last year, weeks 15 through 17, I know Cam Ward wasn't there, but Chigozoma Okonkwo averaged 9 targets per game for a tight end. That's what you look for in a tight end. You want your tight end getting those targets. And not only that, he averaged 18 points per game in those 3 games from week 15 to 17. So I think Chigozoma Okonkwo at his ADP at 192, I think he's going to kill that ADP. I think he's going to be a borderline one. I borderline one, but I think he can do it.
And it's like 2 years ago that he was like the best tight end sleeper in the world, right? Because of his athleticism and what can bring to the table to that offense. I'm on board with Okonkwo. I like him. And, man, it feels really so good to talk about the Titans so well. Thank you, Cam Ward. Thank you, Cam Ward.
which is exactly why I'd probably pick Cam Ward as the person to exceed expectations. I mean, I still expect the team to be down a majority of their games.
Me too.
I expect them to be throwing from behind. I expect him to be running around a lot. And those rushing yards, just they accumulate so fast into fantasy points. There's something that you would probably look for as a person to take a flyer on in your redraft leagues or into those what do you call those when players are on bye weeks? Those I can't think of the name off the top of my head. A streamer option. There we go.
Yep.
So
like a streamer, yeah.
One thing I will say is Mauricio's right. We are talking about the Titans, and it's in a positive manner, and it's really. On the offensive side. No, because in for the last few years, I mean, specific last year, I think so. So I'm a big proponent of this. I'm a big proponent of teams that I'll give the Atlanta Falcons that as an example. The Atlanta Falcons a couple of years ago, they had Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. Last year, they bring in Zach Robinson. Well, all of that stuff that Arthur Smith has been instilling in these players for years now, a couple of years now, most of them. Now a guy comes in there and he's trying to instill a new philosophy. And sometimes with humans, it takes a while for us to process things. And I think when we saw the Atlanta Falcons, their offense wasn't doing anything at the beginning of this season. We were like, this offense should be clicking. The only team they did anything against was the Tampa Bay Bucks. So when we saw this team and we saw like, why is it not clicking? It just takes a little bit of time for it to gel. And Zach Robinson even said that about that this year. He's like, we think we got these philosophies that we were trying to implement last year. We got another year of those philosophies and those players getting the hang of it. And at the end of last season, we saw that Atlanta Falcons was one of the higher scoring teams in the league. And I think that they're going to be one of the higher scoring teams this year, top 5. I'm putting it down because I think they're all going to be ready.
Yeah, but you also said that we were talking positively for the Titans. Meanwhile, we were just saying, man, we're struggling to find players that might be exceeding their ADPs. So it's like what are we talking about on positively?
And let's be honest. Worse than last year, it can't be.
Yeah,
it can't be.
It has to be better. Yeah, right.
So we are going to have something positive out of Titans this year.
Look,
you compare it with last year.
They're going to score 20 points a game this year, not 18.
Well, at least
what's
we're
the league
going
average?
to be better.
League average is 22, isn't it? Well, you know what?
Yeah, it's somewhere around there. You got to look at
NFL
it.
League. While you discuss the next segment, I'll look it up.
All right.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Fantasy football, just trust the process.
Absolutely. We're gonna trust it. We are gonna trust it. And I'll tell you another thing that we're gonna trust, these bold predictions, because these are did I stutter bold predictions. So we gotta come correct here, fellas. And when I say this, because I know that Natter's gonna play it safe. He's as safe as white rice. He's gonna do it. I know he's gonna play it safe. So we gotta come correct, Natter. All right. So
hey, the problem is people try too hard to be like, see, the thing is plain rice is a bold prediction and a bold take now because everyone tries so hard to be like, oh, you need to put sauce, spices and all that in your rice that like, oh shoot, here's a plain bowl of rice. That's bold. It's like, yeah, go ahead.
We put mole on our rice in Mexico,
See?
And mole has like 30 ingredients, man.
See,
And
exactly.
it tastes really good.
Exactly. It's like people who say they don't listen to radio music because it's too mainstream, so they listen to other music. But I feel like everybody does that now, so it's almost unusual to listen to mainstream music. Yeah. See, same concept.
Same concept. Well,
by the way,
you guys,
quick,
go ahead.
Sorry. The league average is 21.4 points per game. So honestly, they're not that far off.
They're not that far. They can easily get. I think Cam Ward over the course of the year, I think he'll get him that. I think he'll get him over that.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Not much more over it, but I think he will. Yeah. So as far as segment 2, you guys better come correct here because I'm telling you, if you don't, I'm gonna hit the buzzer. I'm gonna and then we're gonna come correct. So we're gonna start with you, Mauricio. So give us a did I stutter bold prediction.
Bold prediction, and this comes after the coach of this, like, not a new team, but that having a new face, the Jacksonville Jaguars, praised one of their running backs. And I'm referring to Travis Etienne. And my bold prediction is like Vachel Tutin. Yeah, the rookie, it's going to be this year's Tyron Tracy, or if you want a little bit more spice, this year's Bucky Irving.
Whoa! Okay.
Liam Cohen last year was responsible of drafting Bucky Irving and putting Bucky Irving over Rashad White eventually in the season, and this could happen again in the Jaguars. Vachel Tutin, a very fast, explosive, dynamic running back. And it's the only running back in the roster that the actual head coaches and offensive coordinators selected by the team. So I know it's a crowded backfield for now. It seems to be a crowded backfield. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers backfield last year seemed exactly the same with Sean Tucker, Rashad White, and Bucky Irving. Yeah. So I'm betting for the rookie here. And if Travis Etienne struggles again, Liam Cohen is going to change that immediately. I think he's not going to think it a lot, and he's going to get the ball to Vachel Tutin.
Look, it's crazy that you say the whole thing about Liam Cohen because we saw last year what he did with 2 running backs. I mean, Bucky Irving took the league by storm, but Rashad White was still there too. He was still getting his catches. He was still getting, touchdowns near the goal line. He was still scoring points. So I love the call on Tutin. And then I also I'm intrigued about the other 2 running backs at the right price. But I love the call. The call is amazing. Yeah, that's a good call. All right, Natter.
You prefer Etienne over Bigsby? Yeah.
Yeah. So I do right now because I just have to go based off of what the coach said. I haven't heard anything on Bigsby yet, but I have heard on ETN, and he is pleased with what he's seen so far. Again, a lot of these guys are saying that right now. I think we won't hear a little bit more and won't see a little bit more until training camp and preseason. Yeah. But right now, I'm still favoring Travis Etienne because he can catch the ball. Like Tank Bigsby. That's almost that's like not his game. So
yeah, I'm expecting Tutin to jump Trank Bigsby in the depth chart during the offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a competition. That'll be fun to watch. But Nata, who you got?
I'm drafting neither of them because I like winning. Yeah, I don't want any of them. I think they're both trash.
And you know what? You know what, Natter? There's teams like that where you just don't want to touch any of the running backs, and I get it. Denver is one of those teams. I'm out.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Exactly. And you know what? In the bold predictions, I'm actually going to stay with the Jacksonville Jaguars with Brian Thomas Jr. I'm also not going to be touching him as well. Wow. I will be fading him and making sure he is on other people's roster because with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, I believe there was only 6 or 7 games played. And in 3 of those games, as I see the alarm is telling me that was a hot take.
It is a hot take.
In 3 of those games, he's had less than 6 full PPR fantasy points. Ooh. So either they don't mesh well together, Trevor Lawrence is trash, or that team is trash. And I think all 3 of them are correct. So I'll be fading.
Well, today in practice, he did fall or like he jumped up, I guess, really high, came down awkward. So I'm talking about Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, so that happened earlier today. I haven't heard any much more about it, but they were, he ended practice and whatnot. So maybe he's okay. Maybe got the wind knocked out of him, but I mean that's bold to say, and I don't hate it. There was a post that came up today. It said Brian Thomas Jr. or Drake London. I immediately was like Drake London. What about you, Mauricio?
Oh, it's a tough one. Can I get both? Can I get both at the final picks of round 1 and then on round 2? Can I get both? I mean, let's assume Trevor Lawrence is trash.
Okay,
it's correct to assume that. Yes.
Well, let's thought about Liam Cohen.
Yeah,
as
that's a big
guy that can recycle trash and convert it in something useful, because he did the same thing with Baker Mayfield when everyone thought Baker Mayfield was trash.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have the benefit of the doubt with the Jaguars. I'm somehow excited about that offense if really Trevor Lawrence can step up even just a little bit. Evan Engram is not there anymore, so Brian Thomas, I know that Travis Hunter can be somehow competition for him, but Brian Thomas is a real alpha, and you want those guys in your fantasy football team.
It's hard with the ADP that he's being drafted at.
I know.
Because he's expensive, and he's too expensive to bust. Pause. Last year, he wasn't that expensive. So if he did well, it was just a benefit. If he didn't, it didn't matter. Now there's some value behind him and there's pressure. Yeah. There's a lot of proven talent in the early parts of the draft where you're like, oh, I'm drafting you. I know what I'm going to get out of you. I know exactly what you're capable of. I know exactly what you've done. And you have a better quarterback throwing the football.
That point. It's Michael Penix a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence?
No.
To favor Drake London?
No, not at all. But to be fair, Drake London has done it with bad quarterbacks before. So you're like, okay, you know what?
Brian Thomas did it last year with a bad quarterback as well.
Yeah,
yes, but when he had his normal quarterback, he didn't do as good. Yeah, that's the point.
That's true.
That is. Yeah.
So do you guys remember? I want to say Brandon Ayuk's rookie season. And that was the year Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe. I don't know if that was the year they got Jimmy Garoppolo or the year he tore his ACL. But Brandon Ayuk had, I think it was his career highest in receptions and reception yards. And I believe that was his rookie year. And that was with the third stringer. And I forgot his name off the top of my head.
Not CJ Beathard.
It's like CJ Beathard or one of those.
Oh, my God.
One of those. and he hasn't replicated it since. Why? Because you know what, the third stringer, the quarterback, the backup quarterback, the backup's backup quarterback, he's just throwing it to the first read. And at the time, on a bad team, it happened to be Brandon Ayuk. But when they got a coherent offense going with other weapons around them, he hasn't been able to necessarily replicate it until Brock Purdy came along, which elevated the offense as a whole. And I feel like this might be the situation for Brian Thomas Jr., where, you know what, that happened to be the perfect storm situation for him. No weapons for, Trevor Lawrence or the backup quarterback to throw to. It was a lost season. So it was just throw him the football, see what we got. And now that we have a potential coherent and a cohesive offense, he's not going to have the ability to replicate what he previously did.
Makes sense. I like those takes that get me thinking. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm not getting on my process that I have to pay attention, and I love to disagree in fantasy football.
Yes.
Because my brain starts to process things.
Love it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's awesome.
Yeah, because when you have like a fantasy football discussion rather than a regular football discussion, they're two different topics and discussions to be had.
they are.
Because
True.
from a football aspect, no, Brian Thomas Jr., he's going to be great, and what he provides in that offense is great. Specifically, Travis Hunter coming into addition, but fantasy football wise is two completely different things. Now, Travis Hunter, he might not be a good fantasy football aspect, but he might be a great real life NFL football aspect. But
True.
but when somebody brings up an opposing opinion and sometimes a different perspective or a reason for that opinion, it gets you to question your own beliefs. And once you question your own beliefs, then you can come up with the best opinion possible.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something I'm not questioning, and it's Braylon Allen will be a top 25 running back this year.
Wow.
Braylon Allen, look it up.
Never heard of her.
Never heard of her. Well, you're going to hear a lot of him this year. Because I'm telling you, this kid's ready. He's poised.
Oh,
this
good.
Jets offense, led by Justin Fields, Natter.
Don't talk to me about Justin Fields.
Led by Justin
Don't
Fields.
talk to me about
Look,
Justin Fields. Justin Fields.
This team went from last year running the ball 21 times a game to, I think, this year being a team that runs the ball 30 plus times a game. I think that this team is going to, I think Breece Hall is going to get a shot. Braylon Allen is going to get a shot. All these guys are going to get shots from the running back standpoint. So I'm big on Braylon Allen. And then there's been some rumors that maybe Breece Hall is going to be on the move. I don't think it's true, but hey, he would look nice in a Dallas Cowboys outfit, or maybe a Washington Commanders. He might look good in some of those uniforms there with those offenses. But hey, I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm thinking that if Breece Hall is moved, Braylon Allen is a legit superstar this year, starting this year. I'm getting him in all of my leagues. I got him in all. I just traded for him in a dynasty league for Zach Charbonnet, and I got a 3rd round pick for him too. I'm loving this kid right now.
In terms of hot takes, I don't know. I don't know if that's a hot take. Mauricio, can you help me out? Is this even a hot take?
I mean, I think it could be. Yeah, because
I don't know. Go ahead.
People are thinking on Breece Hall to be the workhorse, right? But the approach that could take this offense is a clear comedy between both. And I don't know if people are really getting that info or that feeling that it's going to be a comedy. And Braylon Allen is a really good back. And it was at Wisconsin. Yeah. He was great. And his profile, I remember when he got drafted by the Jets, I was like, no, it can't be. Please, it can't be. Because his dynasty stock went down that
because of Breece Hall.
Second, because of Breece Hall, of course. But if now you're talking about a comedy, it could be a hot take, more or less. Not enough.
I think that the Jets, I think that they are a safe bet for 30 plus touches in the run game, like hands down, because you got
even with Justin Fields.
Yeah, I'm just talking about rush attempts in general for the team.
Okay.
They are going to run the ball, like
Get it.
whether it be Justin Fields, whether it be the running backs, they are going to run the ball, and I think that they're going to utilize the run game because Aaron Glenn's going to want to play good defense. The OC that's over there, he came from Detroit, So he already has a philosophy of 2 running backs, a good offensive line. So I think that this is going to be a scenario where they can use 2 running backs. Brees Hall can be the Jahmyr Gibbs, and Braylon Allen can be the young, budding David Montgomery, but a little bit faster. I mean, like, this could really happen. I think it will happen.
You have to be like winning football games to run the ball, right?
I think the Jets. I think the Jets are going to be sneaky.
In what division? Like, they're better than.
I'm not saying they're not going to win. Oh yeah, they're better than the Dolphins, dude. I think the Dolphins. I think Mike McDaniel's done after this season.
He ain't done.
Oh, he's done.
Come
That's
on,
another hot take.
He's
done.
That
you should have just led with that as your hot take.
He's done. I've been on the Mike McDaniel. I've been. And if you go to my tweets, I've been hitting him up since last season. I put another tweet out this last week because if you saw his past, go and listen to his press conference that he had this last time. It was a press conference of nothing. Like, he was not saying anything, but words were coming out of his mouth. And I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. Oh. And it's becoming comedic. And I was listening to one of the radio stations, and they were talking about how he sounds frustrated, and he does. He sounds like he's fed up with all of this antics with Tyreek Hill and all of this going on with the front office. And he's already got with Stephen Ross or whoever the owner is over there. He's kind of a crazy one too. It's just, it's a lot. Yeah, I think he's getting fed up with it. I think he's done. That's another hot take for you.
Yeah, you should have just led that as your hot take.
As another one? Okay.
Yeah, you should have just led with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Before we leave, we do have a question for our great guest, Mauricio. And the question is, give us 2 strategies that you're utilizing in a PPR redraft this year, 2025.
I don't know if this is strategy. It would be to do the opposite this year after all the success of focusing in running backs in 2024. Is 0 running back death? I don't know. If that's the case, I'm in. Because I want to do the opposite. I don't want to do 0 RB. I don't want to do RB robust. I want to do the opposite. And when my rivals or my team, my colleagues are doing the same thing every pick, I'm going to change that. So if that's 0 running back, if that's RB robust, I don't care. I'm going to do the contrary. And I think that works. One of the reasons I think the 0 RB work well in the past is because of that. Because there were only a few having that approach every draft. And that will let you to draft 2 top 8 wide receivers, maybe 2 top 10 or top 6 wide receivers. Because everyone was focusing on running backs. And you addressed that position at wide receiver, and you got a really good edge. Now, the sense I have from last year is that people were doing 0 RB just because everyone was telling you that it is the way to go, right? And probably many of those that weren't sold for that strategy are going to change. And I have a feeling that we are going to see so many running backs going the first 2 rounds, so much more than last year. So that's one of the strategies. And the other one is very simple. For me, upside wins championship. Go for all or go home. If you want a guy 2 rounds before ADP, who cares? If you knows that he could be a league winner, I don't care. No one remembers second place, just you.
Let him know.
Those finals you lost are gonna hound you forever. I recall one. It was the Drew Brees when he surpassed Dan Marino for a record. Do you remember?
Yeah.
It was that game. It was week 17 or week 16, sorry, and I lost that final. My local league, and it was heartbreaking. Yeah. You know who was my QB? You're gonna laugh.
Who was your QB?
Tim Tebow.
Oh wow!
Not bad.
Go win or go. Oh, you have to go all or go home.
Yeah.
And at what point in that season, I my QB got, I don't know if injured or something happened, and
Right.
I rescued Tim Tebow from the waivers, and he get me through the playoffs. I mean, the ADP, it's a good tool,
Right.
but it's not a set in stone thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, Mauricio, we thank you so much. Please tell the audience, tell everybody where we can find you. Just give us, and if any projects or anything that you're working on right now, please let us know as well.
Yeah, of course. Social media, in every social media at M Gutierrez NFL. There you can see all what we are doing. And if you want to see and to consume content in Spanish, in fantasy football in Spanish, NFL Fantasy en Español, now you can download the app. And if you have the NFL Fantasy app in your device, you can choose your language. And if you select Spanish, all our original content is going to pop up there, from articles to videos and everything. And so that's the main thing. And Estadio Fantasy as well, with the Estadio Fantasy podcast. Actually, I'm doing normally 2 episodes a week, and this week I made a special one. I compared luchadores and wrestlers with NFL players because of the Worlds Collide event between WWE and AAA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
so
nice.
I compare Penta, Mr. Iguana, Chad Gable, Stephanie Baker, and all those. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, bro.
If I remember, WWE, they bought.
Sorry?
Yeah, WWE. Hold on, did I turn on my mic? Yeah,
yeah.
The WWE, they bought the AAA, the Luchadors League, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Now AAA is WWE. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome, man. So again, guys, thank you so much. Nader, do you have any closing words, brother?
Let's see. The Raiders are trash. Justin Fields are trash. Trevor Lawrence is trash.
49ers are trash.
The 49ers are trash. We'll add that to them. 49ers, the Titans are trash. Everybody's trash. We're all trash. I'm trash.
We're all trash. I'm trash.
Recycle your trash, guys.
Recycle
your trash.
Recycle it. Just recycle it. You'll be good. All right. Good luck, everybody.
God. Peace.